Let me ask you something honest. How many car batteries have you replaced in the last 5 years? 1, 2, maybe 3? And every single time, the story probably went the same way. The car wouldn't start, you called for a jump, drove to the parts store, swapped the battery, moved on. Wrote it off as bad luck or a cheap product. Told yourself this new one would last longer, and then it didn't. Here's the truth that no one at the parts counter is going to tell you. Most dead batteries aren't accidents. They're the result of the same handful of habits, repeated week after week, that slowly hollow out the battery from the inside until there's nothing left to give. The battery didn't quit on you. You wore it down, quietly, consistently, without a single warning light to tell you it was happening. By the time your car refuses to start on a cold morning, the damage is already months deep inside those cells. The battery didn't fail overnight. It was already running on borrowed time. You just couldn't see it coming. This video is going to change that. We're going through 7 habits that silently destroy car batteries, and every single fix on this list is either completely free or costs less than a tank of gas. The damage they prevent runs into hundreds of dollars, sometimes more, and we're saving the most surprising one for the very end, because it's the one that shocks almost everyone and almost no one ever thinks to check. Let's get into it. The first mistake is one that costs people serious money before they even get to the real problem. And it happens because the first instinct when a car won't start is almost always wrong. Your car won't start one morning. The battery seems dead. So you drive to the parts store, buy a new battery, install it, and move on. Except, what if the battery was never the problem? What if something else was draining it overnight, and you just put a fresh battery directly in front of the same issue? That happens to thousands of people every year. They spend $60, $80, sometimes $150 on a battery that had nothing wrong with it. All because they skipped one step that takes 5 minutes and costs nothing. Testing. Actual proper testing. Here's how it works. Grab a basic digital multimeter. They cost about $15 at any hardware store. Set it to DC voltage. Red lead on the positive terminal, black on the negative. Engine off, car sitting for at least a couple of hours. A healthy battery reads between 12.6 and 12.8 volts. Around 12.4 means it's partially drained. Below 12 volts means it's either deeply discharged or dying internally. But here's the part most people miss. A battery can show a perfectly normal voltage reading and still be completely unable to start the car. Voltage tells you charge level. It doesn't tell you whether the battery can actually deliver current under load. That's a different test entirely, and it's the one that matters. A load test puts the battery under simulated cranking stress. If the voltage collapses the moment load is applied, the battery is done internally. Most auto parts stores will do this test for free in the parking lot. No appointment, no charge, no reason to skip it. And if the battery passes both tests but the car still dies overnight, you don't have a battery problem, you have a parasitic draw. Something inside the car is staying awake after you turn it off and pulling power continuously. That could be a faulty module or a trunk light that never shuts off. One more thing. There's an old trick that says you can test your alternator by disconnecting the battery while the engine is running. Do not do this. On any modern vehicle, that move sends a voltage spike that can destroy your alternator diodes and fry the engine control unit, the brain of the entire car. That's a $1,000 part on a good day. There are safer ways to test the alternator, and we'll cover those shortly. The point is this. Before you spend a single dollar on a battery, test what you already have. 5 minutes could save you from solving the wrong problem entirely. Now the second mistake. This one catches people who think they're being smart at the parts store, and it can kill a brand new battery within 6 months. You walk into the parts store, tell them your car's details, and grab whatever they hand you, or you shop by price and pick the cheapest option. A battery is a battery, right? It isn't. The first thing that has to match is group size. That number defines the exact physical dimensions and terminal positions your car was engineered around. Too large and it presses against hoses. Too small and it rattles. That vibration cracks the internal plates and can fracture the case itself. If the terminals land on the wrong side, the cables stretch. Stretched cables create resistance, and resistance creates heat, damaging the wiring over time. Then there's cold cranking amps, CCA. This number determines whether your car starts when temperatures drop. It represents current at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Bigger engine means you need more CCA. You can always go above the factory specification. The starter motor only takes what it needs, but go below it and it can fail out of the box. Now for modern cars. If your vehicle has a start-stop system, where the engine shuts off at a red light, You need a specific battery chemistry, not just any battery that fits. Standard batteries were never designed for that punishment. These vehicles require either an AGM battery or an enhanced flooded battery specifically rated for cycling duty. And many modern vehicles require the new battery to be registered in the car's computer. The system tracks age and chemistry to control how the alternator charges it. If you swap without updating, the car overcharges or undercharges the new battery. This accelerates wear dramatically. German brands and many others absolutely require battery coating. Now the third mistake. This one is responsible for hundreds of dollars in unnecessary repairs, and it's something you can fix in 5 minutes with a brush and baking soda. If you see white or bluish-green crusty buildup, that's corrosion, and it is actively working against you. Corrosion acts as a physical barrier between the battery and the car. The result looks like a failing battery, slow cranking, flickering lights. People chase these symptoms for weeks, paying diagnostic fees when the problem was just mineral buildup. Loose terminals make this worse. Every micro-interruption creates a tiny electrical arc. That arc generates heat, which accelerates corrosion and damages sensitive electronics. A corroded terminal adds resistance. The charging current can't push through, so the battery stays undercharged. The computer flags the alternator as weak, leading to a $300 mistake. The fix is almost free. Disconnect negative, then positive. Work a wire brush until you see clean, shiny metal. Baking soda and water neutralizes the acid and lifts the corrosion. Rinse, dry, and apply a thin coat of dielectric grease. While you're there, tighten the hold-down bracket. If the battery shifts, terminals loosen. 2 minutes. Done. What comes next is the mistake that quietly destroys more batteries than almost any other, and it's built directly into most people's daily routine. Montage of quick car starts, school drop-off, office run, errand, natural lighting, professional tracking shots, BBC style. Every time you turn the key, the battery delivers a massive burst of current, several hundred amps. The alternator is designed to recover that energy, but it needs time at road speed. A 7-minute drive barely gives the alternator time to warm up. Each second of cranking takes roughly a minute of highway speed driving to fully replace. You're already behind. When a battery stays partially discharged, a chemical process begins. Lead sulfate crystals start forming on the internal plates. This is called sulfation. Normally, these crystals dissolve, but when the battery never gets a full charge, they harden. They block the reactions that produce current. Once it sets in, that capacity is permanently gone. The battery might start the car for a while, but its reserve is shrinking. Then one winter morning, there's nothing but a single click. The battery is 2 years old and finished. The fix costs nothing. Once a week, take the car on a drive of at least 20 to 30 minutes at real road speed. Highway driving brings the cells back to full charge. That one drive allows the alternator to reverse early sulfation. Battery life goes from 2 years to 5 or more. Same car, completely different outcome. And just to be clear, idling in the driveway does not count. RPM at idle is too low for the alternator to produce real charging output. Idling is almost useless for the battery. Most modern vehicles keep certain circuits live even after the engine is off. The clock, the alarm, the memory functions. The car is built to handle that baseline for days. The problem is what you add: that phone charger, the dash cam, the GPS. On many vehicles, these ports stay powered even with the key removed. Everything plugged in continues drawing current. Run the numbers across 14 hours and you've lost measurable capacity. Do that 7 days in a row and the cumulative drain starts to rival leaving your headlights on. Prevention is pure habit. Unplug everything before you walk away. 10 seconds of attention prevents months of accumulated damage. If the car is going to sit for days, use a smart battery maintainer, not a trickle charger. The difference matters more than most people realize. A trickle charger pushes constant current and can overheat the battery. A smart maintainer monitors voltage and charges in stages. It's a $50 tool that saves a $150 battery. No outlet available? Disconnect the negative terminal. It cuts off all parasitic draws completely. You lose the clock and radio presets, but that's a fair trade. Now we're into the final stretch, and jump-starting mistakes can turn a $40 inconvenience into a repair bill past $1,000. The single most dangerous error is reversed polarity, connecting positive to negative. It happens constantly when people are stressed and rushing. The result is immediate and devastating. Fuses blow, and the engine control unit, the car's brain, can take irreversible damage. That's a $1,000 part. Reversed current also destroys alternator diodes in both vehicles. There's also physical danger. Lead-acid batteries produce hydrogen gas. A spark near accumulated hydrogen can cause an explosion. Plastic fragments and acid, it happens. Here is the correct order. First clamp, positive to dead battery. Second clamp, positive to donor battery. Third clamp, negative to donor battery. The fourth and final clamp goes to bare unpainted metal on the engine block of the dead car, not to the negative post. This keeps any spark away from the battery gas. Do not skip it. Turn off all accessories in both vehicles. If the dead battery is visibly cracked or leaking, do not attempt a jump. A damaged battery under charge can rupture. After a successful jump, drive at actual road speed for at least 20 to 30 minutes. The alternator needs RPM to push meaningful current. Idling accomplishes almost nothing. Now we're at the one that changes everything. You've done everything right, and yet the battery is still sluggish. Here's what nobody checked. Where do you keep your key fob at night? Modern vehicles with passive keyless entry use antennas to constantly scan for the fob. This unlocks the door when you reach for the handle. Convenient, but a quiet disaster at home. As long as the antennas detect the fob signal, the car stays in an active ready state. Modules stay partially awake instead of dropping into deep sleep. The car sits in an electronic limbo. The numbers tell the story. A car in proper sleep draws 20 milliamps. A car stuck sensing a fob can draw several hundred. Overnight, you lose a real chunk of capacity, every single night. One truck owner solved this with a $10 Faraday pouch, a signal-blocking sleeve. Storing the fob inside every night ended months of dealer visits and dead batteries. Same truck, same battery. $10 ended a problem that diagnostics couldn't find. It also protects against relay attacks, where thieves amplify your fob signal from outside to steal the car. One pouch blocks both problems. If you'd rather not use a pouch, move the fob to the far side of the house. Distance weakens the signal below the threshold, and the car finally sleeps the way it's supposed to. Much better than the hook next to the door. So here's where everything lands. 7 habits, every one of them either free to fix or cheaper than a tank of gas, and every one of them silently working against your battery right now. Skip testing and you replace what wasn't broken. Put in the wrong battery and it's dead in a year. Ignore the terminals and pay for an alternator you didn't need. Drive short trips and let sulfation eat the capacity. Leave devices plugged in to bleed power overnight. Let the car sit without a maintainer. And leave the key fob within range so the car never rests. Fix these, and your next battery lasts 5 years easily. Ignore them, and you'll be back at the parts counter inside 2 years, wondering what went wrong. If this gave you something useful, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this reach someone who needs it. And if one of these habits is something you've been doing, drop it in the comments. Someone watching right now is dealing with the exact same thing, and your comment might be what saves them the trip. The next video covers exactly how to test your battery and charging system at home with a $15 tool, what the numbers mean when the battery is still worth keeping, and what to check. It's on screen right now.